Join Marty Johnson, the holistic health practitioner and founder of Total Health Nutrition Center in Menominee Falls, Wisconsin, as he delivers these podcasts to enlighten you and give you hope that there are health solutions to conditions that seem difficult to resolve, or even better answers than a medical approach of prescribing a chemical drug, which most times is nothing more than a Band-Aid fix, rather than getting to the root cause of your problem. The mission of the Total Health podcast is to provide the education and support that will lead to transforming people's healths so they can live a much more efficient, productive, and happier life the way God intended it to be. Join him now for his latest podcast.
Well, welcome back to the podcast. Today's podcast is going to be on detoxing, and detoxification is a very broad topic, but also very pertinent for the day that we live in, with all the toxins in our environment and so forth. And actually, it's a much bigger problem than I think many people realize, in the sense of how it can affect your health on a broad spectrum level. There's a theory that is actually fairly well known, but you might not have heard of it, but the bucket theory, it's called. And the bucket theory says that your body is like this container that can, hold toxins in its tissues, and some toxins attach to different tissues, either proteins or nerve tissue, fatty tissues, and so forth. But, throughout your entire life, toxins can be building up in your system, especially toxins that your body doesn't get rid of very easily, like heavy metals. And certain types of chemicals may get kind of pushed deep into tissue or into bone. And the body can start to accumulate toxins, kind of like if you envision a bucket filling up. And as you go through life, the body is very resilient, so it can handle a certain amount of toxins, and your cells can keep kicking toxins back out. But if that bucket tips or fills up to the point where it can't hold any more toxins, or if you visualize water in a bucket, then there's trouble that starts to occur. Just like you start to make a mess if the bucket tips and water's overflowing over the top. If your body accumulates too many toxins, then the cells can't push those toxins out properly, and you start to actually affect the ability for your cells to produce the energy they need to, which basically starts to implode on itself, meaning that many, many different health issues start to unfold, and, so to speak, the wheels start falling off of someone's health. So it's very important that we manage this situation and understand that, if we're not dealing with a lot of health issues, or you're not dealing with a lot of health issues maybe now, but starting to notice that your energy's a little lower, or you're getting a little achiness in the joints or brain fog, those all could be signs of your bucket starting to fill up more, and toxins are affecting you, but it just hasn't tipped yet. And trust me, you don't want your bucket to tip, because then it's really difficult to unfold that and get your health back. So what kind of toxins are we talking about? Well, as you can imagine, there's many toxins in our environment that we're exposed to. Cosmetic products and personal care products have toxins called BPAs. Pesticides, of course, are very prevalent. Food additives and preservatives are in many of the foods. And the interesting thing is some of these, pesticides that could be on even your vegetables or fruits, you don't really even taste them so much. So the food can still taste okay, but they're kind of invisible. You just don't realize it unless you're more keen on being aware that, hey man, these things are being sprayed on, and some of them are systemically in the fruit or in the vegetable, meaning that you can't just wash them all off either, because the roots can take up some of those pesticides into the plant or into the vegetable or fruit as well. Plastics, we're inundated with a lot of different products that are made of plastics, even just plastic bags, softer plastics. You can pick up different chemicals like phthalates that can actually mimic estrogen in your body. So we're seeing more and more people with estrogen dominant type of symptoms, anything from more severe menstrual symptoms to menopausal symptoms to breast cancer to prostate cancer. These chemical estrogens, basically they have a molecular structure that's very similar to your own human estrogen, but maybe just a few molecules off from the real stuff. But these estrogens still plug into these little receptor sites, and the body can respond to them. The problem is that the receptor sites can't clear out those estrogen, those chemical estrogens, or they're called xenoestrogens. The receptors don't clear them out as well, and that's how we can get side effects from that. There's also some of the toxins, even from artificial sweeteners. They're called excitotoxins. They actually can excite these little receptors on your cells that can cause damage to the receptors, so that your cell receptors aren't able to read other hormones as well. And neurotoxins, like from heavy metals like lead and silver fillings, mercury, from immunization shots as well. There's different mercuries that are used sometimes in stabilizing those for preservatives. And of course other metals like cadmium and gold and different things that are used in industry. All of these things can affect us in a negative way over time. And especially heavy metals, they don't get out of the body very easily at all, because they attach on to fatty tissue, like your cell membranes in the brain. You have a lot of fatty tissue in the brain, so these metals can actually kind of like, so to speak, short circuit your brain, just like throwing metal into a circuit breaker or circuit board and expecting everything to function right. So all these different types of toxins can affect you over time, and we have to start looking at how, what ways are there to actually properly detoxify the body from these, so that we can keep the bucket at least from filling up or empty it as much as possible, meaning, your body. So when it comes to detoxification, what I usually put it in a couple of categories. I think more basic ongoing detoxification should be done, on a regular basis. So at least 2 to 3 times a year, doing a good basic cleanse is a great idea. And I thought maybe a product that I'd like to talk to you about would be a product from Standard Process, which is a phenomenal whole food product company located in Palmyra, Wisconsin, where they grow a lot of their ingredients, on site in organic farms that are in their products. But they have a great product called SP Detox Balance. And what they've done is they've put all of the cleansing support products that deal with all the elimination channels all in one particular shake. And it's just a really nice, easy form of a detox that a person that maybe doesn't have a lot of issues going on, meaning that, maybe your bucket isn't, tremendously full, and you have some things where you feel like I mentioned earlier, maybe you're slowing down a little bit, or a little bit of brain fog or achiness. It's a great recommendation to just do a cleanse like this. And this is something that you can just stop into our facility at Total Health and pick up and do. Unfortunately, when it comes to the more advanced type of situations where people are starting to notice more severe symptoms, where they have more severe fatigue, maybe symptoms of the hair falling out or the skin being more dry or peeling skin on the feet, more issues with more severe joint pain or just severe brain fogginess. These oftentimes, or even neurological symptoms like neuropathy symptoms for no particular reason, these would be signs of a need to do more deeper investigation and check on a deeper level to see what kind of inflammation is taking place on a cellular level. So on the actual cell wall, we want to know, is there inflammation going on? Because that would be an indicator of a reason as to why you're feeling the way you're feeling and why you might not be responding to your actual hormones, where the cells aren't responding to them. So we do a urine test to actually determine cellular inflammation in our clinic. So these are situations where we would want to actually work with a person, one-on-one in our clinic situation, so we can start to help you restore your health. When we're doing these types of things, we're working on all the elimination channels, even with the basic cleanse. Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs are part of the elimination system, your skin, your digestive system, your lymphatic system. These are all important things to support, and many times different naturopathic doctors, or you might have, you yourself might have even have done a liver cleanse or a kidney cleanse or a colon cleanse, and it's all necessary and it's all good, and we do focus on that. But the reality of it is those are all downstream channels to allow toxins to leave your body. But when we get into more advanced detoxes, we have to go all the way to the cellular level. We have to go upstream, so to speak, and actually detox the cells themselves so that they can function and start pushing out more toxins so that your cells can produce more energy, and you can actually start to turn a lot of health conditions around when the cell starts to function better. And the way that we do that is through these types of tests where we look at the cellular inflammation. We can do what's called a visual contrast sensitivity test, which is actually measuring your ability to read different shades of contrast, which tells us how your optic nerve is affected by neurotoxins. This is a test that actually was put together by two medical doctors, Dr. Hundell and Dr. Shoemaker, and also central nervous system testing using computerized equipment to monitor your autonomic nervous system to see how toxins might be affecting your overall organ health and so forth. And if we determine that there's a likelihood where things like heavy metals are a problem for your body, then we may order further tests from labs to actually look at the amount of heavy metals that are in your system and so forth. Once we can support the body and do a certain amount of detox on a cellular level, then after a period of time, then we can actually start to pull toxins out of the brain to allow for better brain function and brain clarity and memory clarity and things like that. But this kind of detoxification has to be done on a very systematic level in a very responsible manner, because if we start moving toxins like heavy metals and specific types of chemicals without binding them up properly, they can just circulate around and accumulate in other areas, or even more so in the brain, basically making detoxification more dangerous. So it's very important that we take the proper steps when it comes to these more advanced types of cleanses. So I hope this overview and detoxification is helpful, and we'll look forward to talking with you further on other aspects of detoxes in another podcast. Thank you very much. We'll look forward to talking with you further on other aspects of detoxes in another podcast. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us today on the Total Health Podcast. If you'd like more information about how Total Health can transform your health, check them out. They would love to set up a free consultation with you over the phone. Call them at 262-251-2929 to make that appointment. Otherwise, you can check them out on the web at www.totalhealthinc.com.